The first time Aham saw the unknown number, he didn't feel fear. He felt irritation. It was 11:47 p.m. His phone buzzed against the glass coffee table, vibrating just enough to make the empty whiskey glass beside it tremble. The room was dark except for the blue glow of his laptop screen. Numbers. Charts. Emails. Deadlines. He stared at the screen for a full 5 seconds. Unknown number. He rolled his eyes. Spam, he muttered under his breath. His thumb hovered over the screen. Decline. The call stopped. Silence returned to his apartment, thick, heavy, almost suffocating. If he had answered that call, his entire life would have taken a different path. But he didn't know that yet. And by the time he would realize it, it would already be trending. For all the wrong reasons. Aham wasn't a bad person. He was ambitious. There's a difference. At 29, he was the youngest senior marketing strategist at his firm in Karachi. Long hours. Ruthless competition. Office politics sharp enough to cut skin. He had learned early that kindness doesn't get you promoted. Results do. And Aham delivered results. That's why people like Hamza hated him. Hamza. The name tasted bitter even in Aham's thoughts. Same department. Same position. But Hamza had been there longer. Expected the promotion Aham got 6 months ago. Expected it. Felt entitled to it. And ever since that announcement meeting, when the CEO shook Aham's hand and said, "You've earned this," Hamza's smile had been tight. Too tight. "You got lucky," Hamza had whispered later that day in the parking lot. "Don't get comfortable." Aham remembered that moment clearly. The way Hamza's jaw clenched. The way his eyes didn't blink. The way his hand squeezed Aham's shoulder just a second too long. Back in the present, Aham closed his laptop with a soft click. He checked his phone again. No new notifications. He stood up, stretched, walked toward the balcony. The city lights flickered below like distant stars. Karachi never really slept. Neither did ambition. He told himself he deserved this life. The apartment. The car. The title. He ignored the small voice in his head that whispered, "At what cost?" His phone buzzed again. Unknown number. This time it rang longer. He frowned. Who calls twice at midnight? For a split second, something inside him tightened. An instinct. Answer it. He didn't. Decline. He placed the phone face down on the table. Not my problem, he murmured. He went to sleep. At 6:12 a.m., his world detonated. It wasn't the alarm that woke him. It was the notifications. Hundreds of them. His phone screen was glowing violently on the nightstand. Buzzing. 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 He groaned, half asleep, and reached for it. And then he saw it. Twitter. Instagram. LinkedIn. WhatsApp groups. His name. Over and over. Aham Siddiqui. Trending. His heart began to pound, not fast, but heavy. Like something large had just landed inside his chest. He opened Twitter first. And that's when the blood drained from his face. A video. His video. Him. In his office. In what looked like a private conversation. But the audio made him sound like a monster. "I'll make sure she never works in this industry again." His voice. Clear. Cold. Cruel. But he had never said that. He knew he hadn't. The video had over 200,000 views. In 6 hours. The caption read, "Senior manager threatens female employee's career after she rejects him. #toxic boss #corporate predator." His stomach twisted violently. Rejected him? What? He clicked the comments. Disgusting. Fire him. Expose him. Tag his company. Someone had already tagged the company. And the company had replied, "We are aware of the situation and investigating internally." His hands started shaking. This wasn't random. This wasn't an accident. This was targeted. Carefully edited. Strategically released. And then he remembered. The unknown number. His breathing became shallow. He checked his call log. 11:47 p.m. unknown. 11:59 p.m. unknown. 2 missed calls. His brain began connecting dots. Dots he didn't want to connect. Then his phone rang again. This time it wasn't unknown. It was the CEO. Aham stared at the screen. His throat felt dry. He answered. "Sir. Come to the office. Now." The line disconnected. No anger. No yelling. Just cold. Controlled. Controlled was worse. Aham sat on the edge of his bed, staring at the floor. His reflection in the mirror looked like a stranger. Pale. Sweaty. Panicked. He replayed the video in his head. That clip. That sentence. It had been stitched together. Manipulated. He remembered the actual conversation. It had been about a client. A client who threatened to blacklist one of their junior employees unfairly. Aham had said, "If they try to bully her, I'll make sure they never work in this industry again." He was defending her. But the clip cut out everything before and after. Whoever did this knew exactly what they were doing. And then another thought surfaced. Who benefits? Hamza. The answer came so fast it scared him. Hamza had access to the office recordings. Hamza had motive. Hamza had warned him not to get comfortable. Aham's jaw tightened. His chest burned. Fear slowly began transforming into something else. Anger. Cold anger. This wasn't just about a video. This was about humiliation. Public execution. Career destruction. His entire professional identity shredded overnight. All because he ignored a call. What if that call was a warning? What if someone tried to tell him? Or, what if that call was a test? His phone buzzed again. A message. From an unknown number. He stared at it for a long time before opening it. The text read, "You should have answered." His pulse spiked so hard he felt dizzy. Another message came immediately after. "Now watch what happens next." Aham's fingers tightened around the phone. He didn't feel powerless anymore. He felt hunted. And the worst part? The day had just begun. By the time Aham reached the office, the building looked the same. Same glass exterior. Same security guards. Same morning rush of employees clutching coffee cups and fake smiles. But the air felt different. Heavy. Charged. As soon as he stepped through the revolving door, conversations died mid-sentence. Eyes followed him. Not curious. Judging. He could almost hear the whispers even when there were none. That's him. The video guy. Corporate predator. His jaw tightened. Every step toward the elevator felt like walking through invisible mud. Slow. Exposed. Suffocating. Inside the elevator, two junior executives stood in the corner. They didn't look at him directly, but their reflection in the mirrored walls did. Their silence was louder than insults. The 14th floor doors opened. Hamza was standing near the reception desk. Of course he was. Perfectly dressed. Perfectly composed. Coffee in hand. And when their eyes met, Hamza smiled. Not wide. Not obvious. Just enough. Aham felt something dark coil in his stomach. "You okay?" Hamza asked casually as Aham walked past him. The audacity. Aham stopped. Turned slowly. "Better than you think," he replied quietly. Hamza tilted his head. "That video, crazy stuff. Internet's brutal." There it was. The performance. Aham held eye contact for 3 full seconds. Searching for guilt. For a crack. He saw nothing. Only calm. That scared him more. Before Aham could respond, the receptionist spoke softly. "Sir, the CEO is waiting." No good morning. No warmth. Just tension. Aham nodded and walked toward the corner office. Every step echoed. When he entered, the blinds were half closed. The room dim. The CEO, Mr. Farooq, stood near the window with his hands behind his back. He didn't turn around immediately. That silence stretched painfully long. Finally. "Sit." Aham Saturday. His palms were damp. Mr. Farooq turned around slowly. His face was unreadable. "I've watched the video 12 times. Aham swallowed. "It's edited." "Is it?" "Yes." "Then why does it sound like you?" Because it was his voice. Because someone had sliced his words like a surgeon. Because context doesn't trend. Emotion does. "I was defending a junior employee from a client," Aham said firmly. "They cut the beginning and end." Mr. Farooq walked back to his desk. Sat down. Laced his fingers together. "You understand how this looks?" "Yes." "You understand the board is panicking?" "Yes." "You understand our biggest investor just emailed asking if we employ predators?" That word again. Predator. Aham felt his throat close for a second. "I didn't threaten anyone," he said, his voice steady but lower now. "I would never." Mr. Farooq raised a hand. "I want to believe you." "Want?" "Not do." "But belief doesn't control damage control." The words hit like blunt force. "You're being suspended," Mr. Farooq said calmly. "Effective immediately. Until the investigation concludes." Suspended. In corporate language, that was almost worse than fired. It meant guilt was assumed. It meant public silence. It meant helplessness. Aham stood slowly. "I didn't do this." "I hope that's true," Mr. Farooq replied. Hope. That word echoed painfully. As Aham walked out of the office, he felt smaller. Not physically, but socially. Like his shadow had shrunk. Hamza was still near the reception area. Waiting. Watching. The moment their eyes met again, Hamza lifted his coffee cup slightly. Mocking. Celebratory. Aham's pulse throbbed in his ears. He walked straight toward him. Stopped inches away. "You did this," Aham said quietly. Hamza blinked. "Did what?" "The video." Hamza's eyebrows rose slightly in innocent surprise. "You think I'd risk my career over office jealousy?" You warned me, Aham said. Everyone warns everyone in corporate. It's called competition. Aham leaned closer. If I find proof? Hamza smiled faintly. You won't. 3 words. Calm. Certain. That confidence wasn't random. It was rehearsed. Aham stepped back slowly. Something clicked inside him. Fear had turned to anger. Anger was now becoming clarity. This wasn't emotional chaos. This was strategy. Someone had planned this carefully. And Hamza was too comfortable. That meant one of 2 things. Either he was innocent, or he had covered his tracks perfectly. Aham walked out of the building feeling stripped. The sunlight felt harsher than usual. His phone buzzed again. Another message from the unknown number. You look stressed. Aham froze mid-step. His eyes slowly scanned the street. Cars. Pedestrians. Nothing unusual. Another message came. Suspended already? That was fast. His stomach dropped. They were watching him. Real time. His breathing quickened. This wasn't just revenge. This was psychological warfare. He typed back for the first time. Who are you? 3 dots appeared instantly. Then disappeared. Then appeared again. Finally. You ignored me. Now you'll listen. Aham's mind raced. Was this blackmail? Extortion? Or something worse? His phone rang. Unknown number. This time, he didn't hesitate. He answered. Silence. Just faint static. Then, a distorted voice. Calm. Slow. You built your career too fast, Aham. His spine went cold. Who is this? You forgot something important. What? You made enemies. The line disconnected. Aham stood frozen on the sidewalk. People brushed past him. Cars honked. But everything felt distant. Muted. This wasn't just Hamza. The voice didn't sound like him. And yet, the confidence was similar. You made enemies. How many? His mind replayed the past 2 years. Clients he outperformed. Colleagues he outshined. Deals he closed aggressively. People he stepped over. Ambition always has a price. Maybe this was it. His phone buzzed again. This time it wasn't from unknown. It was from Zara. The junior employee from the original conversation. His heart skipped. Why was she calling? He answered. Zara? Her voice was shaky. I didn't say anything, she blurted out immediately. What? I didn't post that video. I swear. I don't even know how it got online. Aham felt a cold realization forming. Zara, who else was in that meeting? Just you, me, Anne. She stopped. And who? Aham pressed. Hamza walked in for a minute. Said he forgot his charger. There it was. A crack. Finally. Aham closed his eyes slowly. Pieces were aligning. Hamza had access. Hamza had motive. Hamza had opportunity. And now, Aham had something else. Direction. He wasn't suspended from thinking. He wasn't suspended from fighting back. If someone wanted to destroy him publicly, he would respond privately, carefully, patiently. Because revenge isn't loud. It's precise. Aham looked up at the glass building one more time. His reflection stared back at him. Not broken. Not defeated. Calculated. They think I'm finished, he whispered to himself. They have no idea. That night, Aham didn't turn on the lights in his apartment. He sat in the dark. Not because he was scared. But because darkness makes you think clearer. His laptop screen glowed against his face as he replayed the viral clip again. Frame by frame. He slowed it down. Watched his own lips move. Listened to the unnatural cut in the audio, the microsecond glitch most people wouldn't notice. But he noticed. Because this wasn't just an attack. It was a production. Someone had carefully extracted one sentence and stitched it into a weapon. And weapons require intention. His phone buzzed again. Unknown number. He didn't answer this time. Instead, he let it ring. Let them think he was rattled. He zoomed into the video. The background clock on the office wall. 2:14 p.m. He opened his calendar. That meeting with Zara had started at 2 p.m. He scrolled. Hamza had no scheduled meeting at that time. But that didn't matter. He didn't need one. All he needed was access. Aham leaned back in his chair. Closed his eyes. Replayed that day. Zara sitting nervously across from him. Her hands clasped tightly. Talking about the client who had made inappropriate remarks during a campaign shoot. Aham remembered exactly what he said. If they try to intimidate you, I'll make sure they never work in this industry again. Protective. Firm. Not predatory. He opened LinkedIn. His inbox was flooded. Some supportive. Most accusatory. One message caught his eye. From an anonymous profile. Check the original CCTV. Audio doesn't lie. His heartbeat quickened. Original CCTV. If the video was edited, then the raw recording would expose it. Unless it had already been tampered with. He grabbed his keys. He wasn't suspended from entering the building entirely. Just from performing duties. Security would let him in for personal items. And tonight, he needed more than items. He needed truth. The office at 9:30 p.m. felt completely different from the morning. Empty desks. Silent hallways. Echoing footsteps. The receptionist was gone. Only one security guard at the entrance. "Sir, you're suspended." "No," the guard asked hesitantly. "I left personal documents," Aham replied calmly. 5 minutes. The guard nodded reluctantly. Inside, the air felt colder. Like the building itself had chosen a side. Aham walked straight toward the IT department. The door was locked. Of course. He checked his watch. 9:47 p.m. Then he remembered. Rizwan. Head of IT. Quiet guy. Neutral. Stayed out of politics. Aham pulled out his phone and called him. "Sir?" Rizwan answered, surprised. "I need a favor." A pause. "Regarding the video?" "Yes." Another pause. Longer this time. "I shouldn't get involved." "I'm not asking you to pick a side," Aham said quietly. "I'm asking you to check if the raw footage exists." Silence. Then, "Meet me in 10 minutes. Rizwan entered through the side entrance. Nervous. Sweaty. "You know this could cost me my job," he whispered as they walked toward the server room. "It already cost me mine," Aham replied. That shut him up. Inside the server room, the hum of machines filled the air. Rizwan logged into the system. Scrolled through security archives. Date. Time. 2 p.m. Conference room 3. He clicked. The footage loaded. Aham leaned closer to the screen. The video played. Zara speaking. Aham responding. Clear. Continuous. No cut. No distortion. And then, at 2:13 p.m., the door opened. Hamza stepped inside. Casual. Holding a phone. He pretended to search the desk. Then his eyes briefly looked at the camera. Not random. Intentional. Then he left. The meeting continued. Aham felt something cold settle inside his chest. "Pause," he said. Rizwan froze the frame. Hamza's phone was visible in his hand. Angled slightly. Toward Aham. "He recorded it," Aham whispered. Rizwan swallowed. "Looks like it. But how did he get the audio?" Rizwan's fingers moved quickly across the keyboard. "There's something else." He pulled up access logs. Someone accessed this footage remotely at 11:32 p.m. last night. Aham's jaw tightened. From whose ID? Rizwan hesitated. Hamza's. The room felt suddenly smaller. The air heavier. Proof. Digital proof. But Aham didn't smile. He didn't feel relief. Because something didn't add up. If he already recorded it on his phone, why access CCTV? Rizwan frowned. To make it look authentic. Or, Aham said slowly, to delete something. Rizwan rewound the footage again. This time watching after Hamza left. At 2:16 p.m., something subtle happened. The audio glitched. Just for half a second. Rizwan's face changed. That's not normal. What does that mean? It means someone edited the original file. Aham felt anger surge through his veins. That's illegal. Yes, Rizwan whispered. And dangerous. Aham leaned back slowly. This wasn't jealousy anymore. This was sabotage. Calculated. Criminal. And then his phone buzzed again. Unknown number. Another text. You digging around servers now? Rizwan's face drained of color. They're tracking you, he whispered. Aham's breathing slowed. Focused. Controlled. Good. Let them watch. He typed back. Yes. 3 dots appeared. Then. You won't like what you find. Aham smirked faintly. Oh, I think I will. He turned to Rizwan. Email me the access logs. Quietly. I can't. You can. Or tomorrow when the investigation starts, I tell them your department allowed remote tampering. Rizwan froze. Fear works both ways. Fine, he said quietly. Within seconds, Aham's phone vibrated. Access logs received. Hamza's ID. 11:32 p.m. Right before the unknown calls. Aham stared at the timestamp. 11:32 p.m. server access. 11:47 p.m. unknown call. 11:59 p.m. unknown call. A pattern. Precise. Whoever called him knew exactly when the video was released. Which meant? Hamza wasn't alone. Aham's pulse slowed. The anger inside him was no longer chaotic. It was sharpening. Someone thought they could destroy him publicly. Humiliate him. Cancel him. Make him an example. They forgot one thing. Aham didn't build his career by being emotional. He built it by being strategic. And now, he had a digital trail. And a motive. But revenge isn't about reacting. It's about timing. He left the office that night with a calm expression. But inside, he had already decided. He wouldn't just clear his name. He would dismantle Hamza piece by piece. Career, reputation, influence, everything. And when it was done, Hamza would wish Arham had answered that call. Because ignoring it was the last mercy he'd ever receive. Revenge doesn't begin with anger. It begins with silence. The next morning, Arham did something no one expected. Nothing. He didn't post a defensive statement. He didn't tweet. He didn't argue in comments. He disappeared. And that's what made people curious. Online, the outrage was still burning. The video had crossed 1.2 million views. Influencers had stitched it. Corporate activists were tagging the company. Hashtags were multiplying. But Arham? Silent. Because noise feeds chaos. And he was done reacting. He sat at his dining table with a notebook open. Not a laptop. Not a phone. Paper. Pen. He wrote one name at the top. Hamza. Underneath it, 3 columns. Motive. Method. Mistake. Motive, lost promotion. Public humiliation. Resentment. Method, edited footage. Social media release. Psychological intimidation. Mistake, overconfidence. Arham tapped the pen slowly against the paper. Hamza believed Arham would panic. Defend himself publicly. Beg. Instead, Arham needed him comfortable. Loose. Careless. His phone buzzed. It was Zara. Sir, HR is calling me in. Good, Arham replied calmly. Good, she sounded confused. Yes. Tell them the full story. Don't protect anyone. There was a pause. I won't. After the call ended, Arham leaned back in his chair. Zara was the emotional trigger. The victim narrative made the video explosive. If she publicly clarified the context, the fire would weaken. But that wasn't enough. He didn't want damage control. He wanted exposure. His phone vibrated again. Unknown number. He smiled faintly before opening it. You're quiet. He typed back instantly. So are you. A pause. Then. You think you found something? Arham stared at the screen. Then replied. I know I did. This time, there was no immediate response. Minutes passed. That silence felt different. Less confident. Good. He was getting inside their head now. By afternoon, something unexpected happened. Zara posted. Not a long paragraph. Not dramatic. Just one line. The viral video circulating is edited. Context matters. The internet shifted. Not fully. But enough. Doubt entered the conversation. Comments began dividing. Wait, what? Was it manipulated? Why would she defend him? And then, Arham received an email. From Mr. Farooq. Subject, emergency board meeting, 6 p.m. Interesting. Very interesting. He wasn't invited. But he wasn't blocked either. Which meant? They were unsure. At 5:42 p.m., his phone rang again. Unknown number. He answered. Silence. Then the distorted voice. You're making this messy. Arham walked toward his balcony slowly. You made it messy, he replied calmly. A small chuckle came through the speaker. You think a server log will save you? Arham's heart didn't race this time. He was steady. It won't save me, he said softly. It will bury you. The chuckle stopped. You don't know what you're playing with. You're right, Arham said. But I know who I'm playing against. A pause. Long. Heavy. And then the voice slipped. Just slightly. One word. Careful. It wasn't distorted enough. The tone. The cadence. The subtle accent. Arham had heard that, careful, before. In the parking lot. Months ago. From Hamza. The call disconnected. Arham stood there staring at the city skyline. He didn't feel fear anymore. He felt confirmation. But confirmation wasn't proof. And proof wins wars. Not suspicion. 6:17 p.m. His phone buzzed again. This time it wasn't unknown. It was Rizwan. They checked access logs in the board meeting, Rizwan whispered. And? They're concerned. Concerned isn't enough. They're asking who else had remote login credentials. Arham's eyes narrowed. Who? Senior management, including Hamza. Yes. There it was. Pressure. Not public. Internal. Corporate investigations are quiet. And lethal. Hamza must have felt it too. Because at 7:03 p.m., Arham received another message. Not from unknown. From Hamza directly. We need to talk. Arham smiled. Finally. The predator was stepping out of the shadows. He replied. Coffee? 2 minutes later. Now. They met at a small cafe 2 blocks from the office. Neutral ground. Public. Safe. Hamza arrived first. Aham could tell from his posture. Less relaxed. Shoulders tighter. He sat across from him calmly. You're bold, Hamza said quietly. So are you. Hamza leaned forward. You're escalating this. You started it. Hamza's jaw flexed. You think I did this? Aham didn't blink. I know you accessed the server at 11:32 p.m. For the first time since this began. Hamza's confidence flickered. Just a fraction. I check servers all the time. Not at midnight. Silence. Then Hamza exhaled slowly. You don't understand the bigger picture. Aham tilted his head. Explain it to me. Hamza leaned closer. Lowered his voice. You were climbing too fast. The board was noticing you. Investors were noticing you. You were about to be untouchable. Aham's expression didn't change. So you tried to destroy me? Hamza shook his head. No. I tried to balance things. Balance. That word ignited something dark inside Aham. You framed me, Aham said calmly. I exposed what you're capable of. Aham almost laughed. That sentence will age badly. Hamza stared at him. Cold. Calculating. You should have answered your phone last night. There it was. Confirmation. Aham leaned back slowly. That was you. Hamza didn't deny it. Instead, he said, I was giving you a chance to step down quietly. Ah. So that was the plan. Intimidation. Resignation. No investigation. Clean. Strategic. But Aham ignored the call. And now? It was public. Messy. Dangerous. For both of them. You underestimated me, Aham said softly. Hamza's lips pressed into a thin line. No, he replied. I overestimated your intelligence. Aham stood up calmly. Placed cash on the table. This conversation is over. Hamza watched him. You don't have proof, he said quietly. Aham paused. Turned slightly. You made one mistake. Hamza's eyes narrowed. What? You enjoyed it too much. And then Aham walked away. Because revenge isn't about shouting. It's about timing. And Hamza just gave him what he needed. Admission without denial. Intent without apology. And now? Aham wasn't just defending himself. He was preparing something bigger. Something permanent. Because destroying someone's reputation is cruel. But destroying their career, credibility, and future? That's justice. Revenge is most dangerous when it looks like patience. The next 48 hours were quiet. Too quiet. Online, the outrage was slowly splitting into two sides. Zara's statement had cracked the narrative, but not shattered it. Half the internet still believed Aham was guilty. The other half demanded proof. And proof was exactly what he was building. Aham didn't sleep much. Not because of fear. Because of focus. He sat at his desk at 2:11 a.m., staring at the access logs Rizwan had sent him. He enlarged the metadata. Cross-checked timestamps. Compared IP addresses. And that's when he saw it. Hamza's login wasn't from the office. It was remote. From a private IP. Aham leaned closer to the screen. He traced the IP routing history. The location pinged to a high-end residential area. Clifton. Hamza's neighborhood. His pulse slowed. This wasn't circumstantial anymore. This was digital evidence. But he needed more. Because accusations without airtight proof would make him look desperate. He opened LinkedIn again. Scrolled through Hamza's recent activity. Motivational posts. Corporate ethics quotes. A post about leadership requires accountability. Aham almost smiled. The hypocrisy was almost artistic. Then he noticed something else. A new follower on Hamza's profile. A social media consultant. Public reputation strategist. Aham clicked the profile. 3 months ago, this consultant had posted. Viral exposure campaigns available. Discreet. Effective. Aham's stomach tightened. He checked the consultant's tagged posts. One of them was from a burner account, the same style account that first posted Aham's viral clip. The pattern was forming. Not emotional revenge. Professional sabotage. He leaned back slowly. Hamza hadn't acted alone. He had hired someone. That meant money trail. That meant transactions. And transactions leave fingerprints. Meanwhile, at the office, the internal investigation was gaining heat. Rizwan texted him updates cautiously. They're asking about unauthorized edits. They're reviewing admin privileges. Hamza looked stressed. Good. Stress makes people sloppy. And sloppy makes mistakes. On the third night, at exactly 11:47 p.m., the same time as the original missed call, Aham's phone rang again. Unknown number. He answered immediately. This time, no silence. No distortion. Just breathing. Heavy. You should have taken the deal, the voice said. Aham recognized it fully now. Hamza wasn't even masking it anymore. What deal? Aham asked calmly. You resign. We bury the video quietly. Everyone moves on. Aham walked toward his window slowly. And you become the hero who saved the company from me? Silence. Then, you were never meant to rise this fast. There it was again. Jealousy disguised as strategy. You didn't just want my position, Aham said quietly. You wanted my future. Hamza exhaled sharply. You think you can win this? I don't think, Aham replied softly. I calculate. The call disconnected. Aham stared at his reflection in the window. For the first time since this began, he felt in control. Because Hamza was no longer hiding. He was reacting. And reaction is weakness. The turning point came unexpectedly. Zara called again. Her voice was different this time. Not shaky. Angry. Sir, HR showed me something. Aham's heart tightened. What? They showed me email logs. And? There was an anonymous complaint filed about you 2 weeks before the video. Aham froze. What kind of complaint? Harassment concerns. His jaw clenched. From who? It didn't say. Anonymous. Anonymous. Strategic groundwork. Plant doubt first. Release video later. That meant. This was premeditated. Long-term. Planned. Hamza hadn't snapped emotionally. He had constructed a narrative. Layer by layer. Aham closed his eyes slowly. That realization didn't make him angry. It made him cold. Because now this wasn't about clearing his name. This was about dismantling a system of lies. Zara, he said carefully, are you willing to testify formally? There was a long pause. Yes. That one word changed everything. Because witness testimony plus digital access logs plus remote IP trace. Now it wasn't revenge. It was exposure. The next day, Aham made his boldest move yet. He didn't wait for the investigation. He sent an email. Not emotional. Not defensive. Strategic. Subject, forensic review request, evidence submission. He attached. E-server access logs. Remote IP trace link to Clifton. Timestamp comparison. Zara's written statement. A screenshot of the social media consultant's viral exposure campaign post. He CC'd the board. Not just HR. Not just the CEO. The board. He pressed send. And leaned back. His heart was steady. No shaking. No panic. Because once you escalate to the highest level, there's no going back. At 4:18 p.m., his phone exploded. Calls. Messages. Notifications. But this time, not accusations. Internal sources were leaking. Someone from the company had anonymously posted. Update, evidence suggests viral video may have been manipulated internally. The narrative shifted again. Fast. People who had insulted him were now saying, wait for facts. This seems deeper. Corporate sabotage? Aham didn't smile. He didn't celebrate. Because he knew one thing. A cornered enemy is dangerous. And Hamza was cornered. At 6:03 p.m., Hamza texted him. Just 3 words. You crossed lines. Aham replied calmly. You drew them. And then came the message that made Aham realize something bigger was unfolding. Unknown number. But different tone. Not arrogant. Not mocking. Panicked. You don't understand what you just triggered. Aham stared at the screen. His pulse slowed instead of rising. Because fear had changed sides. Explain it to me, he typed. 3 dots. Long pause. Then, there are investors involved. Aham's eyebrows tightened. Investors? That wasn't jealousy. That was corporate power. He suddenly understood. Hamza hadn't just been acting alone out of resentment. Someone bigger wanted Aham gone. Why? He replayed something Mr. Farooq had said days ago. Our biggest investor just emailed asking if we employ predators. The investor reacted too quickly. Almost as if they were prepared. Prepared. That word echoed in his mind. This wasn't a personal attack. It was political. Strategic. High level. And suddenly, the unknown calls made more sense. This wasn't about humiliation. It was about removing him before he became too powerful. Aham felt something shift inside him again. This wasn't just revenge anymore. This was war. Corporate war. And if investors were involved, then Hamza wasn't the mastermind. He was a pawn. The moment Aham realized Hamza might just be a pawn, everything changed. Because pawns are sacrificed. And if Hamza was being sacrificed, that meant someone higher up was protecting themselves. Aham didn't sleep that night. Not out of anxiety. Out of calculation. He sat at his dining table again, the same notebook open. Under Hamza's name, he drew an arrow upward. Above it, he wrote, who benefits more than him? He replayed the last 6 months in his head. The promotion. The board presentations. The investor meeting he had been invited to 2 weeks ago. That meeting. His stomach tightened. 2 weeks before the viral video, Aham had pitched a bold restructuring plan. A strategy that would reduce dependency on one major investor and diversify funding. He remembered the silence in the room when he finished. He remembered one particular face. Mr. Cameron Shah, the company's largest private investor. Mid-50s. Polished. Calm. Dangerous. Cameron had smiled slowly that day and said, "You're ambitious." It hadn't sounded like praise. It had sounded like a warning. Aham's pulse slowed as the memory settled. If his restructuring plan passed, Cameron's leverage over the company would shrink. Power would shift. And powerful people don't like losing leverage. Suddenly, the anonymous complaint filed 2 weeks before the video made sense. The timing wasn't emotional. It was strategic. He had become inconvenient. And inconvenient people are removed. The next morning, Aham received an official email. Subject: mandatory attendance, executive review panel. His suspension was under reconsideration. Translation? They were nervous. He arrived at the office at 3 p.m. This time, the whispers felt different. Less judgment. More curiosity. The elevator ride was silent again, but not heavy. Tense. When the doors opened, Hamza wasn't at the reception desk. He was inside the boardroom. Aham could see silhouettes through the frosted glass. He entered. Inside sat Mr. Farooq. 2 board members. Head of HR. Rizwan from IT. Hamza. And at the far end of the table, Cameron Shah. Calm. Watching. Aham took his seat. No one smiled. Mr. Farooq began. "We've reviewed the materials you submitted." Aham nodded slightly. Rizwan projected the server logs onto the screen. Timestamp, 11:32 p.m. Remote access, Clifton. User ID, Hamza. The room was silent. Hamza's jaw tightened. Cameron remained expressionless. "Mr. Hamza," one board member said calmly, "can you explain this?" Hamza cleared his throat. "I accessed the file to verify rumors of a leak." "At midnight?" HR asked. "Yes." "From home?" "Yes." "And why was the original file altered?" Hamza's eyes flickered briefly toward Cameron. "Just a second." But Aham saw it. That glance wasn't random. It was instinct. Like a soldier checking his commander. "I don't know," Hamza replied carefully. Aham leaned forward slightly. "With permission," he said calmly, "I'd like to add context." Mr. Farooq nodded. Aham stood. Slowly. Controlled. 2 weeks before this video surfaced, I presented a restructuring plan that would reduce our reliance on a single major investor. The room shifted subtly. Cameron's eyes narrowed just slightly. Shortly after, Aham continued, "An anonymous harassment complaint was filed against me. No evidence. No accuser." He let that sink in. Then the edited video surfaced. And within hours, our largest investor contacted the board expressing concern. Silence. Heavy. Measured. Aham's gaze moved directly to Cameron. "I find the timing impressive." Cameron finally spoke. His voice smooth. "Are you implying something, Mr. Aham?" Aham didn't blink. "I'm observing patterns." Cameron folded his hands. "You're suggesting I orchestrated a smear campaign against you?" Aham tilted his head slightly. "I'm suggesting someone with influence wanted me removed before my proposal moved forward." The tension in the room became suffocating. Hamza shifted in his chair. Sweat visible now. This wasn't the script he expected. Because Aham wasn't attacking emotionally. He was exposing strategically. Cameron smiled faintly. "You're ambitious," he repeated the same words from 2 weeks ago. "And ambition without experience can be dangerous." There it was. The condescension. The subtle threat. Aham responded calmly. "So can fear of losing control." A board member cleared his throat. "Gentlemen, let's stay focused." But it was too late. The real conflict had surfaced. This wasn't about morality. It was about power. Rizwan then played the original CCTV footage. Unedited. Full context. Aham defending Zara. Clear. Continuous. The room watched in silence. When it ended, the contrast between the viral clip and the raw footage was undeniable. Manipulation. Deliberate. The board members exchanged looks. HR spoke next. "Mr. Hamza, given the evidence, this appears to be intentional misconduct." Hamza's voice cracked slightly. "I was advised." He stopped. Advised. That one word echoed like a gunshot. Cameron's jaw tightened for the first time. "Advised by who?" one board member asked sharply. Hamza's breathing quickened. His confidence was gone now. Completely. Because pawns don't survive when the king feels threatened. "I acted independently," Hamza said quickly. Too quickly. Aham saw it. The fear. The calculation. Hamza was protecting someone. Which confirmed everything. The board announced a temporary adjournment. Everyone stood. Conversations began in hushed tones. Hamza avoided eye contact. Cameron walked toward the window calmly. Aham stepped beside him. Not aggressive. Not loud. Just close enough. You chose the wrong target, Aham said quietly. Cameron didn't look at him. You're talented, Cameron replied softly. But talent is replaceable. Aham smiled faintly. Reputation isn't. Cameron finally turned. And yours is already damaged. Aham met his gaze. Not for long. For the first time, Cameron didn't respond immediately. Because he realized something. Aham wasn't just defending himself. He was gathering leverage. And leverage works both ways. When the board reconvened, the decision was swift. Hamza was terminated effective immediately pending legal review. The internal investigation would expand. Public statement to follow. Aham's suspension lifted. But Aham didn't feel victorious. Not yet. Because Hamza being fired wasn't the end. It was the beginning. As everyone filed out, Hamza stopped beside him. His voice low. You don't understand what you've done. Aham looked at him calmly. I understand perfectly. Hamza's eyes were hollow now. They won't let you win. Aham held his gaze. They already lost. Because the moment manipulation is exposed publicly, power shifts. And Aham wasn't done shifting it. He walked out of that boardroom with his name partially cleared. But something deeper had awakened. This wasn't about returning to normal. It was about restructuring everything. Including who really held control. Power doesn't collapse loudly. It fractures quietly. 2 days after Hamza's termination, the company released a public statement. Following a thorough internal review, we have determined that the viral content circulating was manipulated. We regret the distress caused and reaffirm our commitment to fairness and integrity. It was corporate. Polished. Controlled. But between the lines? Aham was cleared. His phone buzzed non-stop that day. Messages from colleagues. Apologies. Journalists asking for comments. Industry contacts checking in. Funny how quickly public opinion flips when evidence surfaces. But Aham didn't celebrate. Because he understood something most people didn't. Clearing your name isn't the same as winning. And this wasn't over. That evening, he received a private email from one of the board members. Subject, confidential discussion. They wanted to revisit his restructuring proposal. Immediately. Aham read it twice. The proposal that had triggered everything. The proposal that threatened Cameron's leverage. Now, they were interested. Because when manipulation is exposed, trust shifts. And Cameron's influence had cracked. Not shattered. But cracked. The board had begun quietly reviewing financial dependencies. Investment terms. Voting power distribution. And what they found wasn't illegal. But it was aggressive. Cameron had structured deals that gave him quiet control over key decisions. Nothing unethical on paper. But strategically suffocating. Aham saw his opportunity. He didn't attack Cameron publicly. That would have been reckless. Instead, he presented numbers. Data. Alternatives. New funding routes. International partnerships. Gradual dilution of concentrated power. Calm. Professional. Surgical. And that's how real revenge works. Not by shouting. By replacing. 3 weeks later, during a closed-door board vote, the company approved Phase 1 of Aham's restructuring plan. It didn't remove Cameron completely. But it reduced his controlling influence significantly. And investors hate losing control. Especially silently. Cameron requested a private meeting. Of course he did. They met in the same boardroom where everything had nearly ended for Aham. This time, there were no other executives. No witnesses. Just the two of them. Cameron stood near the window again. You're playing a dangerous game, he said calmly. Aham took a seat. I learned from the best. Cameron exhaled softly. You think you've won. Aham tilted his head slightly. I think balance has been restored. Cameron turned to face him fully. You cost me leverage. Aham held his gaze. You tried to cost me my career. Silence filled the room. Thick. Measured. Cameron studied him for a long moment. You ignored that call, he said finally. Aham nodded once. Yes. That was your last chance to walk away quietly. Aham's expression didn't change. And now? Cameron gave a faint, almost impressed smile. Now you're not someone I can ignore. That was it. That was the real victory. Not revenge. Not humiliation. Respect. Earned through resilience. Because Aham didn't beg. He didn't panic. He didn't disappear. He calculated. And powerful people only respect what they can't intimidate. Months passed. The restructuring continued. The company diversified investors. Cameron's grip loosened gradually. He remained involved, but no longer dominant. Hamza? Last Arham heard, he was facing legal review for digital tampering and defamation. No dramatic collapse. No public meltdown. Just quiet consequences. The kind that hurt the most. And the viral video? It still exists online. Buried under follow-up articles exposing the manipulation. Whenever someone searches Arham's name now, they don't find scandal. They find survival. Strategy. Control. One night, months later, Arham stood on his balcony again. The same city lights flickering below. His phone buzzed. Unknown number. His heart didn't race anymore. He answered calmly. Silence. Then a soft voice. Not distorted this time. You changed the game. He recognized it. Cameron. Arham leaned against the railing. I adapted. A small pause. You could have been destroyed, Cameron said. Yes. But you weren't. No. Another pause. Then. Well played. The call ended. Arham stared at the skyline. That first night, when he ignored the unknown number, he thought he was dismissing spam. Instead, he had rejected intimidation. And that single decision forced his enemies into the open. They tried to erase him. Instead, they exposed themselves. And the most satisfying part? He never screamed. Never threatened. Never begged. He simply outlasted them. Outcalculated them. Outgrew them. Because sometimes the strongest revenge isn't destruction. It's evolution. And the people who try to bury you? They end up building your foundation instead. End.